Honor to retire a Marine after 20 years of dedicated service, especially when that Marine is a dear friend like Keith. So thank you, Colonel, for allowing me to come out here and do this. Thank you, Keith, for letting me be the retiring officer. And I want to thank the Marines back there for providing a memorable backdrop to this special occasion for Major Roloff. I first met Keith 19 years ago, right here at 29 Palms. I was here for a CAX. I was with Marine Air Support Squadron 1 out of the East Coast, and we came here a lot for CAXs. And we were out here on a meet and greet right here at the club, and they were bringing in the students who were assigned to Mass 1, and Keith was one of those students who was eventually going to be assigned to Mass 1. And we saw him for the first time. We go, "Who's that old guy with the young girl?" And of course, we were talking about Keith, and even back then he was starting his gray hair, and of course Tammy looked as young and beautiful as ever. So we were joking a little bit, but there's something you notice right away about Keith, and I noticed it right then. Of course, he's a solid guy, but he has an inner strength. Continuity about him. I don't know exactly how to put it into words. There's archaic terms you could use like stalwart, but he has this inner strength. And I realize now, after 20 years, and I realized it I think right away, that his inner strength was right next to him there, and it's Tammy as well. Both of these together, they came in the Marine Corps. They had already established careers. They had a house. They knew each other from when they were children, and they were high school sweethearts, and they got married. And yesterday, I met another reason for that stability. Both of Tammy and Keith's parents are here, and that stability exists in them too. You can see it. They're from the heartland of the United States. They're in Minnesota, and that's carried through. When we talked a little bit about Mass 1, Tammy picked up right away on the name of Mass 1 back then was the Atlantic Nomads. And she goes, "What does that mean, Atlantic Nomads? What's going on with that?" And we said, "Well, that means your husband's gonna be deploying a lot." And indeed he did. Keith has 9 stars on his Sea Service deployment ribbon, which means 10 times he was deployed for 3 months or more in support of the Corps. Now, some people get those the easy way by being stationed overseas, and each year you're stationed overseas, you get a star. But Keith only got 1 that way. The rest were earned the hard way. And he came out to Mass 1, and Keith and I were assigned to the Airborne Desk, which is in support of Desert Storm. We went out there with Mass 1, and the Airborne Desk is a little box in the back of a KC-130. And Keith and I were facing each other across a tiny little table where we controlled fires beyond the fire support coordination line in Desert Storm. Of course, most of the fires were beyond the fire support coordination line in Desert Storm, so it was a challenging environment, and Keith was solid, as usual, in that situation, in that combat situation. I want to thank you for